Somehow I don't think a ghost with a 16-inch beard is going to be very convincing. Oh, I can be Gandalf, right? Maybe. Need the white hair too. Well, here's a question. Would you rather marry a ghost, become one, or get chopped up by one? Well, if you're in the West, typically you get chopped up and die. In China, you might get a little bit more lucky and get married. Or become a ghost yourself. So enter Liáozhāi志异, a collection of short stories, some 430 or so, written by a guy named Pu Songling, who lived between 1600s and the 1700s. He died somewhere around the early 1715s or so. He's most notably portrayed by Jackie Chan in the movie Detective Pu Songling, in a modern interpretation in 2019 movie that kind of touches on some of the tales that he tells. Who was Pu Songling? He was kind of a writer, a poet, and also a government official, or at least he worked for the magistrate and did a lot of official government type of work, while also teaching along the way. Throughout his life and career, he ended up writing several poems and short stories. Eventually, that would be collected in what we now know as Liáozhāi志异. So what is Liáozhāi志异? Well, Liao means chat, Zhai is room or studio, and志异means strange tales. Put them together, strange tales from a Chinese studio, or strange and wonderful tales. So as I mentioned before, there are about 430 short stories or so attributed to Pu Songling, although there were several more that were added on and attributed to him later on. Many of these stories are very ordinary in their representation of people, yet each has an element of qiguai-ness to it, if you will. That is to say that normal people often find themselves interacting with supernatural beings such as ghosts, foxes, or even dead monks. Furthermore, all of these stories generally deal with places that are real. That is to say, places around where Pu Songling lived or around China. So in that sense, they have a very human or very personal touch to them. Some titles include Si Sung, Murdered Monk, in which people hear a monk laughing, turns out he's dead and he hid a bunch of gold coins in a Buddhist head. Jiu Chong, or Wine Worm, in which a guy says, nah, I don't need to stop drinking, then meets a monk who gives him some wine with a worm in it, and well, is he able to drink after that? Or even simply, Waigorin, from a strange country, or outside people, which deals with a boat full of people who dress in feathers and show up one day and then another boat comes up and they get back on the boat and they leave. Not sure why he wrote this one, but strange tales. By the way, Waigorin and Laowai are two terms that are used to refer to people who are not Chinese in modern China today, and actually outside of China too. However, one story I thought was kind of neat was Lianxiang, about this kind of old guy who all of a sudden has two women show up and want to shack up with him. Now, ignoring the fact that one of them may or may not be of age according to modern standards, the fact that this happens is, okay, good on ya. But who are they? Turns out one of them is a ghost and one of them is a fox, which in most Chinese horror stories are the same thing. What would the fox say to that? I won't spoil it for you, but suffice it to say, no one really dies other than the people who are already dead. And that's kind of the theme of all the stories. My big takeaway from Liáozhāi志异, or at least the stories that I've read so far, are that number one, don't trust female ghosts. They ain't gonna do you good. Number two, don't trust foxes. They ain't good either. Number three, be careful of wandering monks. They might be dead or they might die, and you might not be able to get rid of them afterwards. But if you're not big on reading ancient Chinese or even translations of these thrillers, then no problem. Several have been made into modern Chinese movies. Not only have they been made, they've been remade several times as well. Notably, Painted Skin, or Hua Pi, in which a girl, a shapeshifter, a ghost, shows up to a household and kind of seduces the main guy, as is pretty common in these stories. Now, I don't know about you, but when a girl starts taking her clothes off, that's one thing. But she starts taking her skin off? You in for some bad magumbo, my friends. Number two, Painted Mural, or Hua Bi. A story about three guys who show up to a Buddhist monastery or temple or something like that and see a mural painted on the wall and notice how very big and beautiful it seems. And then all of a sudden they go into it. Now, in this wonderful, strange world of the painted mural, they stumble upon a bunch of women who are ruled over by a queen, and all these women are extraordinarily beautiful and, of all things, want to get married. Now, you must ask yourself, if you stumbled into a world of beautiful women who wanted to get married, would that be heaven or would that be hell? I'll let you find out for yourself, as there have been several remakes of this same story. Number three, Nie Xiao Qian. a story about a ghost lady who seduces traveling men to their deaths. But it's not her fault because, well, she's part of this tribe of malevolent spirits, or ghosts, that seduce everybody to their deaths. But as it is in most Chinese stories, a young, virtuous man, a student, changes the way things are done, and helps the ghost change her ways and free herself from the shackles of her evil tribe and seek freedom in death? Well, at least she's released from the prison that she's in. Liáozhāi also remade several times, old movies, 1980s, 1990s, and even the modern day. One neat version from 1987, I think it was, used a lot of stop motion, which I thought was kind of neat. But if you are willing to try your hand at reading some of this Chinese, this ancient Chinese, or at least not very modern Chinese, there is one website that hosts not just the traditional or the old Chinese, but also a modern Chinese translation of it, including an explanation of the story. What you'll notice about the old Chinese is that a lot of the sentences are very terse or very short. A lot of them are made up of very even numbers of characters, 2, 4, 6, or something along those lines, or even 3 and 5 characters long. Very similar to other ancient styles of writing in Chinese literature. But is it easy? No, it's not. It's not easy at all. Even modern Chinese people require some help to know exactly what's being said. That's not a problem. Again, this is a very specialist, niche piece of literature, and something that probably isn't going to be taught in your Chinese class anytime soon. Let's not forget there are going to be many literary allusions and historical or geographical allusions or references that you'll have to know something about the country and the culture, or at least what's been written before, in order to understand what's going on. So what's your take? Can we trust ghost women? Should we listen to what the fox has to say? And what about those wandering monks? Are they to be trusted anymore? Whatever the case may be, Liáozhāi志异by Pu Songling is very well known within modern China. However, outside of China, it might not be well known as much. This does belong in the higher level of Chinese language ability and belongs in the historical tomes of Chinese literature. You can read this work in translation, but you'd be reading this more for an interest in how Chinese language has changed or as part of your Chinese literature courses. This isn't something that you'd sit down to read and be thrilled like you would with a Stephen King novel or something. So overall, Liáozhāi志异by Pu Songling, niche, high level, but gives a look at what the Chinese horror story is. Foxes, ghosts, and monks, and all sorts of qiguai things going on in this world, not just in China, but around the world. What do you think? Would it be something that you would read? Liáozhāi志异by Pu Songling. Alright folks, thanks for watching. I appreciate it very much. If you like this video, please give it a like as it encourages to keep on going. And I think it tells the YouTube algo to spread it to more people. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. And of course, please drop us a comment. What are you reading this Halloween or any Halloween? And have you read any Chinese horror stories or even seen the movies? Thanks again, folks. We'll do this again. Have a good one. Bye-bye.